Today we're going to do something I've never done before.
And now for something completely different.
Earlier this week, I was a part of a YouTube live stream that a friend of mine was hosting. His name is Trey Van Camp. His YouTube channel is linked in the description. You should definitely go subscribe to him. There was a little part of that conversation where I shared my favorite Dallas Willard story. As I was having that conversation with Trey on his channel, I was thinking in the back of my head, there's got to be some way that I can recreate this conversation on my channel. Well, sure enough, the very next day, Trey shares a snippet of that conversation on his channel. And I thought, this is it. I've got to ask him, is there any way that I could just share what you shared on my channel as well? So I reached out to Trey and I asked him the big question, and he said, absolutely, because he's incredibly generous. So here's what you should do. Hang out for the next few minutes and watch this video. When you're done, go to the link in the description. You can watch the full conversation on Trey's channel, and make sure you don't forget to subscribe to my channel and definitely also to Trey's. So Willard one time was teaching, he was a teacher of theology at USC, and one time apparently he was teaching in class and a student disagreed with something that he said, like refuting Willard in class. If you know anything about Dallas Willard, it's like a stupid thing to do. Dallas Willard then, when the student is done, like disrespectfully disagreeing with Willard, he looks at the clock and he goes, I think that'd be a good time to end class. And he dismisses class. At some point, somebody goes up to Willard afterwards and goes, Professor Willard, you could have eviscerated that kid. Like he was wrong, he was rude, all of that. Why didn't you debate him in front of everyone? And Dallas Willard's response was, because I'm practicing the discipline of not needing to have the last word. When I heard that story, it messed me up. I know you've talked a little bit about like the Enneagram. You're an Enneagram 7. I'm an 8. The Enneagram 8 is like the bull in the china shop. Like I feel like I have to apologize more than anything for stuff that I say. When I heard that story, I felt like God was saying to me, like, that's the discipline I want you to practice, is not having to have the last word. And as like a theologian, as a person practicing, and studying spiritual formation and spiritual disciplines, as a pastor of a local church, I feel so much like I could easily justify, I have a responsibility to prove why what you said was wrong. And yet here's Dallas Willard with a very clear, similar responsibility. He's a professor at a college teaching on theology. Yeah. And he resisted that urge and let the student say what he said. But that has really formed the way I think about approaching debate, because my goal is not to correct this person. My ultimate goal is to love this person.
That's good. The speech, conduct, love, faith, purity. I think it's very intentional that Paul puts love in the middle of it all. And it's that agape love. It's that serving. It's that sacrificing my betterment for your benefit. You're an 8, so you actually tend to bulldoze and let's fight those fights. As a prototypical 7, I actually lean towards the other way. I just want fun, and I want to run away from all conflict. And so actually, like in a way, it's almost like in my journey. That's why I love this conversation, because in my journey of discipleship, I'm having to learn how to stand up for the truth even when it's not convenient. So like in your journey, it's let's not have the last word. And that's brilliant. I had goosebumps when you told that story about Dallas Willard. But I'm recognizing in my journey right now, I don't tend to be the fool, but I tend to be the coward. And I just go, well, I'm just the nice guy. I'm here to make sure everybody's happy. So it's like, how do you do this? And I think it's by preaching God's word, allowing the truth to be truth, not attacking people, right? But working through these principles, these overall ideas that people are believing, and saying, okay, how does the way of Jesus apply to this? So I love that. I think it depends on all our own journeys, how to apply that. For some of us, it's to shut up, but others of us, it's to speak up. Dallas Willard, a really great book. I'm going to cover your face real quick. A really great book. It's just like a little Kindle thing. I just found it. You can read it fairly quickly. It's only one chapter, okay? And it's called Getting Love Right. Hear this quote. I know it's long, but it's so stinking good. It's exactly what you're talking about, Tim. The bodily habits and social patterns which are shaped to curse when you are cursed and strike when you are struck will have to be reformed by consciously practicing contrary, loving responses until they come habitual. I love it. See, I think a lot of us, we want revival, but what we really need is reformation, where not just our ideas, but our bodies are all within us are reformed back into the habits of Jesus. Look, the conditions necessary to such retraining must be put in place and cultivated. A lot of us just want to slam dunk with the truth, but what we need more than anything within the church is to retrain our affections, retrain our habits, right? Here is the gold. We then can develop to the place where when we are rejected, abused, or mistreated, like 1 Timothy 4:12, despised, right? Our mind and body responds not with an automatic, here is a person to curse, reject, and harm, but with, here is a person in need of blessings. To bless them is to explicitly will their good under the invocation of God. You need only think for a moment to see what a difference this would make in families, in public life, in international relations. But we have to learn how to do it. I think that's so stinking good, right? How do we as pastors, first and foremost, we're in 1 Timothy 4:12, you keep going. He says, apply this truth in your life. And when you check your life and your doctrine, what? It'll save both yourself and your hearers, right? How are we training ourselves, but also our congregation, to make love a habit? That is just like, I don't know the answer to that, but that's how we fight beautifully, right? Where we make it not this is a person to curse, reject, and harm, but this is a person in need of blessings. That would be such a game changer. Dallas Willard for the win.